Oleg and Alyona are going on a date in Moscow. During the date, Oleg tells Alyona that he is a soldier on leave for 2 weeks. Things go really well on the date, and they stay together all night. At the same time, a plane is about to land in Paris, when all of a sudden, all of the lights go out and everyone on board passes out. Soon, this loss of power will reach every part of the world, except for a small part of Eastern Europe. As Oleg and Alyona watch, the drones that fly over Moscow stop moving. They quickly run to the hallway of the hotel to find out what's wrong. Everyone in the building has gathered there to hear the news. The reporter says this wasn't caused by a natural disaster. At first, they thought it might have been a terrorist attack, but now they know they can't reach anyone else in the world. One of the many towns that are now dark is Kirov, and Mayor Dolmatov is sent with a group of soldiers to check it out. Olga, a reporter, goes with them to write down any hints they find. Drones from the government have already been sent to this area, but none of them have come back. The team looks around the city and goes into a store to use special slime lights to see better. This is how they find out that everyone in this room is dead, even the fish in the bowl. There are no signs of an attack, so they can't help but wonder how everyone died. It seems like it happened out of the blue. After that, they check out different homes and find that everything is in his place, like nothing happened. Again, it looks like it happened right away, like the people just disappeared. All of a sudden, an unknown being attacks one of the troops. As soon as the other people on the team see them, they rush to help him, but the creature grabs the soldier's gun and runs out the window. The team fires right away, but the being doesn't seem to be hurt by the shots, so it runs away. They take the hurt soldier to their plane and ask him if he saw his attacker's face. He says he didn't, because it was too dark, and he was fighting so hard that he couldn't see anything. After a month, more than 100 million Russians are thought to be dead, and the government is trying to get the people who are still alive to stay quiet. There are, however, religious groups there because they believe the end of the world is near. Yura, on the other hand, is one of many citizens who get a letter asking them to join the army. His mother has Alzheimer's disease, and Yura lives with her. It hurts him to leave her, but he joins the army anyway. When he gets to the base, he sees how the world has changed since only 1 month has passed since the end of the world. Yura ends up joining Oleg's team, which is told what's going on by Dolmatov and Colonel Marina. Every city in darkness is considered under quarantine, and the only existing power can be found in Moscow, parts of Belarus, Ukraine, and Finland. This area is known as the Circle of Life. Some research teams have come back with bodies, and they've discovered they died from neurotoxins, produced by the human body. One of the new team's jobs is to find signs that will help scientists figure out what caused these neurotoxins. The other job is to go deeper into the quarantine zone to get more supplies for Moscow, which is running low. As a warning, they've already sent many teams, and most of them didn't come back, even though they had tanks to protect them. As everyone gets ready, more helpers show up. Oleg is shocked to see Alyona among them. All of a sudden, a warning sounds to warn of an attack. It looks like a big group of enemies is getting closer, so the troops gather at the line between the base and the quarantine zone. The base's power goes out at that moment, so Dolmatov starts shooting flares to make things easier to see. When the aliens get close enough, the troops fire. But some of these beings get to the base anyway and start hitting everyone they see, which knocks Oleg out. The next morning, Oleg wakes up with an enemy dead on top of him. When Yura sees that he's still alive, he asks for help moving the body. This lets Oleg see that the strange being was actually a big bear. In fact, there are dozens of dead bears on the other side of the border, and no one knows why they did what they did. It's also Olga, who is there to record everything for the news. When Oleg is taken to the hospital, he is shocked to learn that Alyona is a doctor. When he's hurt, she takes care of it and gives him a kiss to make him feel better. At the same time, Marina and Dolmatov talk about the Censors, a group of people who are said to have gotten superpowers after the Blackout. Marina tells them that they're not superpowers. Censors can get information in their thoughts, like radios get signals. They haven't been able to figure out what the data means, or why this happened, though. There is a military hospital where Sasha is being held, because she is the best censor. He has been having dreams about a strange bald man ever since the Blackout. Today, Zhenya is coming to see him. He says he was sent by someone named Id, and that the first wave killed all electronics. The second wave caused all living things to kill themselves, and the third wave will make anyone still alive in the quarantine zone attack them. These people have lost their free will, but they still have time to stop it. Sasha doesn't want to be a part of this and calls for help. The troops arrive but can't see Zhenya and tell the doctor that Sasha is hearing things. The other troops are getting ready for their job. When Yura goes on a trip with Olga, she records some interviews with him for the camera. Yura says he doesn't mind what's happening because it gives his life direction and is better than being a taxi driver. When they get to the quarantine zone, they see tanks that have been destroyed laying on the ground and a gaping hole in the buildings, which means the third wave has already started. Watching videos of this damage makes the people who are still living in the city very scared, which leads to riots and more crime. People believe their leaders are concealing something, even though the government says they are working on it. To cover more ground, the troops are split up into groups. Yura and Olga are in Group 7. As they walk through the woods, they start to flirt with each other more. When Oleg is found and healed, he joins Team 4, which is looking into a small town. When one of the troops opens a storage room, a bunch of metal bars hit him in the leg and hurt it. So, until a doctor comes, the team will rest in a house. The next morning, Alyona shows up and tells the soldier that he needs to go back to Moscow with her or risk losing his leg. Group 7 also slept in an apartment, and Yura sees something strange about a store while they're eating breakfast. He listens to Olga's recording again and is sure that the doors weren't open when they got there. Yura and a few troops go into the store and find signs that someone was there. This makes them decide to set some traps. Then, they go back to their flat and wait for the traps to go off, which doesn't happen until it gets dark. While everyone else gets ready to leave, Yura tells Olga to stay inside and shows her how to use the flares to get help if they don't show up. Olga ends up going against Yura's orders and following the team to record everything. They find a teenager hurt by the traps inside the store. They try to help him by taking him into the apartment, but he kills a guard with a stolen knife. Right away, the others responded by shooting him down. At the same time, Sasha goes to the hospital roof to get some fresh air, and is surprised by Id, the guy Xenia told him about. Id is here and wants Sasha to help. Xenia had only had a mental link with him. He shows his face and says he's not human to make him believe he knows what's going on. At that time, Marina shows up with a group of soldiers who are pointing their guns at Id. Suddenly though, the soldiers all turn their guns on Marina, so she shouldn't do anything, Id tells her. He used his mental skills to make the soldiers see her as Id and him as Marina. He also says he's on Marina's side, and tells her that millions of people just like him are coming to kill everyone. Id says that people would think of him as a god when Marina asks what he is. Marina brings Id to her office to question him. He says he meant to start the irradiation process when the moon was above the seas, but he messed up because the moon was covering this part of Europe, keeping it safe from the radiation, and that's how the Circle of Life came to be. Everyone in the quarantine zone is just a mindless drone that will strike soon. Their own star is about to die, so Id's race needs Earth to live in. They want to move to a world with a sun. Then, he says there was a wave 0 thousands of years ago. This wave was made up of humans, who are actually a bioweapon sent by aliens to kill Earth's original people. The pyramids and underwater cities were made by the native people who lived there before. They were much more advanced. Humans are the perfect bioweapon because they can both kill and colonize. They also have a lot of DNA in common with Id's people, but they were taken psychic. Some people, like Sasha, are getting them back because of the unexpected radiation. Tomorrow, a force from Id's planet will arrive, but Id's brother Ra is already here. He doesn't like the way they do things and wants to find him, but Sasha is the only one who knows where he is because of his dreams. In the meantime, all of the teams are struck at once by people who can control their minds. The troops start fearing right away and do their best to set up a defense, but the enemy comes in large groups and doesn't have any trouble fighting back. Most of the teams are killed before they run out of ammunition. Although Yura asks Olga to shoot the flare when the apartment they're hiding in blows up, most teams are already doing the same thing, and there aren't enough resources to help everyone. The few people left in Group 7 will wait on the roof of a building for now to stay out of reach of the attacks. A message telling Marina about the attack cuts off her talk with Id, and Id says they're wasting time. Together with Xenia and Sasha, they fly to the base. On the way, Id tells them that he will live forever, as long as no one kills him. When they get to the base, Id puts Sasha into a trance, and he draws a picture of Ra's position, which is a large building in Kirov. The surviving tropes need to be mobilized right away, but Dolmatov isn't sure if he can trust Id when he sees him. Just then, a fighter told them that Moscow was also being attacked. Marina tried to persuade Dolmatov that Id was their only chance. Now we're back to Group 7. They choose to go down the building to find the teams that didn't send any flares. She knows Olga is scared to try, so Yura kisses her to calm her down and gently lowers her. They find some regular people in the streets and kill them before they even talk to them. They looked fine, so Olga is upset about this. But Yura tells her that the teenage boy also looked fine at first. An attack by a new wave of droned people seems to prove his point. The other troops all die. but Yura fights off the attackers and gets hurt in the process. They hide in a garage and take care of Yura's wound. They also find a car with gas and keys that they can use to get away. At the base, Sasha tells Id that he's afraid to go because he thinks Ra saw him in the vision. Id lets him stay behind to keep him safe. Dolmatov's team leaves in tanks, but Marina sees that Sasha is gone and tells everyone to stop. Right then, a group of rockets hit the base and blew it up. Marina points her gun at Id because she thinks he knew about this, and Id says that she is right. But if Sasha had been with them, the team would have died, and they would not have won the war. Ora and Olga find Oleg and Alyona in the morning. They still have a few people on their team, but they're out of bullets. They were lucky that Dolmatov's team found them right away and asked them to help kill Ra. There is no base to send Olga and Alyona to, so they will have to come along. After several hours, the team gets to Kirov. They aren't being attacked, which surprises Dolmatov. Id tells him that Ra thinks he died at the base. The people on drones are blocking the streets, and some of them are jumping from above with bombs. Any enemy that tries to stop the army just gets shot or crushed as they move forward. When they get to the skyscraper, Id takes Yura and a few troops to the roof while the rest of the group stays at the front door to protect it. Because the fight is so fierce and they don't know how long they can keep up, Oleg also takes the bystanders upstairs. Once they've killed all the bad guys inside, Id and the troops meet Ra on the roof. Ra avoids Yura's attack by pushing him away and leaving him hanging on the edge. Id then attacks Ra, and the two of them are fighting pretty evenly. But when Yura climbs back up and a big explosion is heard in the streets, Ra looks away, and Id attacks him directly, taking out a device that was inside Ra. Yura jumps in right away and throws a bomb into the hole, killing Ra for good. Now Id can use his skills to free all the people who were under his control. He says that the next step is to kill the aliens that are coming on board the spaceship, since that's what humans were made to do. Zhenya doesn't get why Id didn't tell them about all of this before the shutdown, and Alyona and Marina are angry that Id is using people. Id tells Zhenya that he is the god people deserve, so she strikes him with a knife. Id uses his powers to make Zhenya kill Marina instead. Oleg is so angry that he tries to attack Id too, but Yura stops him and tells him that Id is their only defense against the invasion. Oleg and Yura start to fight. Olga sees that Yura is beating Oleg up, so she pulls out a gun and shoots Yura to stop. Id stops Zhenya from killing him again without any trouble. Even though Oleg wants to kill Yura, he shoots at Id instead. The bullets don't hurt anyone. Id's skills make Oleg think of everyone as his father, which makes him think twice. But Zhenya can find the real ID because he is a monitor, and he jumps to bring him down with him. As soon as they hit the ground, they both die. A huge spaceship lands on a group of buildings at that very moment. Oleg takes the thing Id stole from Ra and leaves with the women because he doesn't want to kill Yura. The three people get into the spaceship through an open door because it was waiting for Ra. They take some guns from the dead bodies that they found. Inside, hundreds of aliens are sleeping in pods. When Oleg hits the button, oxygen starts to flow to those pods. Ra must have been the one to wake them up, because the pods' timers show that they will be ready soon. They shoot at them and make sure it kills them, but they don't have enough bullets or time to kill all of them. Olga sees that the oxygen lines are on the floor, and she knows that breaking one of them will kill a lot of aliens at once. The three start breaking every pipe they can find, which stops the attack for good. Alyona is about to break the last pipe when she stops herself because she knows that the last pods are full of children. The children start to leave the pods, and Oleg drops his weapon when he sees them. He can't hurt these innocent beings. Subscribe. For more videos like this, turn on the notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks.